Where did that come from? How much are you interested in my life either?
I'm so excited, Kalyani, that I'm meeting you again at the Women Inspiring Network Win Voices podcast. And thank you for joining us.
Who's done so many diverse things from a very young age. And I think I did everything pretty well.
To go, but your journey as an influencer and actor, because you came in Bollywood Vibes, and how was that journey, that experience? You've donned so many different hats, so a bit on that.
It wasn't, it's a reality show. So my bit, like I wasn't scripted at all. Like it's a non-scripted show. Like it's not that we were reading our lines, you know. The finale of the show, somebody comes up to me, hey, Miss Rezon. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. This is what I want to be known as. You think you can do it, and don't give up easily. I think in the younger generation there's a lack of patience. When you inspire, if I can change one woman's opinion of a topic that she's afraid to say, talk about, or address, or we women have so many fears within us. That we all live with so much fear.
Or we second guess ourselves, can we really do it? Yeah. Hi, I'm so excited, Kalyani, that I'm meeting you again at the Women Inspiring Network Win Voices podcast. And thank you for joining us. Of course, Kalyani, you've got many, many facets. You were a communication person from Oberoi, Dior, now an entrepreneur, and now big face with the Bollywood wives, the fabulous wives in the Bollywood season. So I wanted you to tell us about your journey of the last 2 decades. Tell us a bit about it.
How much time do we have?
Yeah, that's a lot, I know, but yeah, we have 20 minutes.
I've been so fortunate actually for the opportunities that I have got since my first job with Mr. Oberoi, and many things that I did in between, running for magazines for Indian Express, for diverse magazines. I had no idea how the publishing world operated. But I got the opportunity, and I'm like, okay, why not? And those days, actually, I must say, I'm talking about 25, 30 years ago. It was very different 25 years ago. The whole competitiveness of even trying to get a job today is so difficult, and to sustain it and to get the kind of opportunities that came knocking on my door. I think I'm so lucky, and I always I always give 100% into whatever I take on. I get completely anal about everything.
That we could see today.
You saw it.
Yeah, but it's good. That's attention to detailing. I wouldn't call it anal, attention to detailing, which is good. So as you all know, the Win Voices, our podcast, is not just in India, but we also have done it at Davos, at Cannes, and next stop for us is New York in September.
Right.
But every tip works, because now we've already done 25 episodes and we're going to do much more. So our aim is to at least finish 50 by the end of the year.
Sure.
And but coming back, so you're a Calcutta girl, now you're in Delhi. So tell us about that move. You were with Dior, the luxury space. I want to know more about that, and how has the luxury market grown in India since you first started with Dior? And yeah,
I think my experience with luxury was, so beautiful in the sense that I started off with Oberoi Hotels. I was under Mr. Oberoi himself. I have learned that if luxury really is everything, if you want to do it well, and I learned this from him directly, is in the details. I've spoken about this so many times. I mean, he was so particular about what he wanted. There was a suite he tore down those days, where I was at the interview shaking because I was with, being interviewed, the first interview of my life. I was 21 years old. I didn't know anything about anything, Again, I got that opportunity, and saying, Mr. Oberoi, he's in town, and because I was a sales and marketing, was a very important part of, any organization. He's saying he wants to meet you. So I'm like, okay. So I went, and he was on the phone saying tear the sweet down. And those days, sweets used to cost. It was a huge amount of money to just be torn down. I did get the job. The first thing I did was go and see what the problem was, because he said that is not salmon, it's pink. But it wasn't really pink, but it wasn't salmon either. So I carried that forward also with Dior. I learned so much. Every, stick in a vase, the bud had to stick out, and it had to be, say, 4 inches in a glass square vase, etc. Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that all these experiences have, I soak in knowledge, I soak in experiences, and that's what made me who I am today. I mean, there can be a scratch on a product, you're not going to see it, but I'm not going to sell it either. And sometimes my Budi wife said, but I can't see it. I said, yeah, I'm the one who's half, double your age and half blind. Like, how can you not see it? But I would just take it off. I said, no, send it to the factory and get it repolished. So I think that's what real luxury is all about. Also, I've been a consumer all my life. And I think that also, you know, what it entails, what you want, and that also gets translated into everything I do today, with my silverware business. It was just been a huge learning. I can go on and on, but honestly, it's been a massive learning for me. And as I said earlier, I'm so fortunate to have got the opportunities that I did. It's not easy. It's bizarre. Like, I mean, think back on it, on my whole trajectory. Who's done so many diverse things from a very young age? And I think I did everything pretty well.
I think so too.
Yeah, I mean, at 21, I was thrown into the corporate world. I was a 21-year-old kid, and those days things were also very different. We were far more naive, if not innocent, but very naive, and thrown into the corporate world and set records for Oberoi hotels at that time. And some of it I think has stayed on. So,
And I love the fact that you said you love to soak in everything there
Knowledge.
in your knowledge, and so I love that fact, and I want you to tell us a bit about your entrepreneurship journey. When did you start? Was it easy? Because you know how it is with entrepreneurs. So people just see the good side of it, but there is that hard work which goes. So I want you to sort of elaborate on your entrepreneurship journey. Tell us a bit about your brand, how it's evolved now with the
So the
festive
on-
season coming up.
yes, it's a daily struggle, Suti. It's a daily struggle. The life of an entrepreneur is possibly the hardest. And I started my journey as, having my own business, being an entrepreneur. So I started making these beautiful leather accessories, for the corporate world, who also I knew really well. So somebody said, you have great ideas, you're so creative. Why don't you make me a corporate gift? And this was for one of the UB group,
Wow.
and Vijay Malia, and he was huge then, and I'm like, really? And I showed this particular overnighter, which was canvas with leather, and it was beautiful.
And this
I
was
like,
must be at least like 2 decades back or something.
yeah, 25 years ago. And I work during Diwali, and I sustained myself, through the year. Then I started my own boutique in Calcutta. It was actually the guard's room, but it was my grandfather's endeavor to get me back somehow into the faculty. But he was the one who encouraged me to fly. He's the one who said, just go, do your own thing, get out of Calcutta, all that. So both my grandparents, I mean, they are who I am, because of them. And then I started this little boutique. So I used to source handicrafts from this down south. It was the first lifestyle boutique in Calcutta. It was called Kalyani, very original. But that boutique also was my foray into art. When my mom and I started montage arts in Delhi. So because I was selling Mysore paintings and Tanjore paintings, and I also started keeping these young artists from Artseka in Calcutta. When I moved to Calcutta, to Delhi from Madras, I had this massive exhibition of upcoming artists. There were 98 paintings, I remember. 97 sold, the 98th I kept. It was a sellout. And I'm like, this could be a business.
Yeah.
And I basically came to Delhi, but I started actually with corporate gifts. And I was making these beautiful gifts, and nobody was really doing corporate gifts, at that time. So it was really kind of that's how I met my ex-husband as well, because he was an exporter, and I kind of went to present my some accessories and stuff, and that's when we started working together, and the rest is history, as they say.
But you dwelled into from leather accessories,
Yes.
art,
Yes.
and now you have a silver.
No, and then many things in between, honey.
Okay.
I was exporting fashion accessories.
Wow.
That's what I started. So I was making handbags, mainly handbags, and I started off with Harrods, evening bags.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I said, okay, if they are buying my bags, I'm doing something right, and that's how I started making bags. And it just went on to like a lot of beautiful brands. I worked with Ralph Lauren. I made belts for them. I had a great agent in New York. I had a fantastic agent in Paris. I worked in a lot of London-based like LK Bennett. They're not high street. They're not luxury, in between, but they're really good quality. Leather and all. It's great fun. I was on the advertising campaign. Then I went into Zara and Mango. I was on Mango campaigns. I don't have anything to show. I feel so bad. I was in so many of the campaigns, but not as obviously, they used to buy from me. But they were my designs. Nobody ever knows that. And
Wow.
Tyra was little, so we used to walk into a Zara store, like say in Paris, and I'd say, Mama, that's your bag, that's your bag. And I'm like, yay. Yeah. Okay. I always say this, and I will say it in every single podcast, every single thing that I say. The only superpower that every woman has is our financial independence.
I agree.
It's as simple as that.
I agree.
I don't care what privileged background you're coming
I
from,
think so.
right? You and I come from the kind of families we do.
No,
we all work
financial
so
independence is
Yes.
important.
I have never taken money from my parents for anything I've done.
I agree. So
Do
I
you?
have, I started my communication business at 23. I didn't even know what entrepreneurship meant. When just happened in the pandemic,
Yeah.
a client of mine came back to me, and because of the program I'd gone 10 years back, and they sort of imbibed in you how to pay it forward. A client of mine came and said, Suti, can we do webinar, but can you, get me some people in the luxury space and media? I said, but I have no budget. I said, I'll only do it if you allow me to get women change makers. I don't know how the idea came. And by the end of the webinar, where we
Yeah.
had 80 speakers, we had 40 which were women, So
Amazing.
if it was media, there would be women speakers. If it was design,
Yeah.
there would be women designers as well as men, If it was hospitality, so, that's how, it always has to be. And, when you also rightly said that we as women, we always second guess, can we do it? So
I think we live with certain fears of first family. Approvals are so important. Then if you're married, then it's your in-laws. Firstly, the husband. How supportive are they? Towards you working or doing something or having the hours, or if the child is sick, the husband's not going to not go to work and look after. You are not supposed to go to work and look after the child. So all these nuances come into
play,
which can get challenging for every woman. And we have that fear within us to kind of go onto that journey with so much of hesitation because of all these factors.
And you don't know. So I have actually met, Kalyani, some of the richest, as I mentioned to you, for Davos, like let's say most of the people from India
Yeah.
who are maybe like the top 10, 20 companies.
Achievers, huge
Achievers,
yes.
or they run billion-dollar empires or
Sure.
more maybe. But when I sort of reached out, the women who were in their 50s, they never really played a role in the traditional family business setup. They may now do something to do with the foundation or some part of the business, but they were not the driving force, or they did not do it. But the shift is now happening because their own children who are going to Brown or Yale or Harvard and all these places, they don't want to be just a mom. In fact, some of them have told me, like, will you speak to them? Like, and I'm really happy with the shift, the nicer shift which is happening in some of our business families in India. Are like, if you look at even in Isha Ambani, like, the perception is she has the equal right to her father's business, just
Of
like her
course.
brothers.
Of course.
Or like even an Ananya Birla who's very, very vocal with her thoughts and, the kind of things. So the shift is happening, and it's happening for the better. So when I look at like what probably we may have seen in the last 2 or 3 decades, the positive shift is happening, but a lot can change more. And that's also the reason why we have the Win Voices.
I think you've taken some good examples, because as you know, someone like Isha Ambani or Ananya Birla, they are also, because of social media, etc. Young girls are looking at them and saying, look.
Especially in tier 2, tier 3. So they say,
Yes.
if they can be working,
Yes.
let us
Yes,
also.
they're setting great examples.
Yeah,
I
so
think
it's
for the younger generation, and I think that is amazing. So exactly, like they are also inspirational, for so many young girls
and especially
women.
traditional family businesses,
Yes.
and which
Yes.
may be your maybe tier 2, tier 3 of family
Yes.
businesses.
Yes.
But now at least the perception is, yes, like they also want to say, like my daughter's going to office, or my daughter's handling
Yes.
this part of the business.
Sure.
And that's also
I think the whole philosophy has changed and is changing rapidly.
actually it's
I would
changing
say,
rapidly.
yeah.
We haven't
Yes.
changed
Yeah.
completely, but
Not completely. Nothing. I mean, everything takes time.
Takes time.
And also, you have to have the will.
Yeah.
Now, if I go, say, if I went up to, say, my father-in-law and said, Dad, I would love to work, and can I, like, maybe you can find me something to do. I think today every father-in-law will also say, yeah, beta, come, we'll find something. Like, great, I'm so happy. Come for a few hours, come for a few hours, and that might, and how you imbibe it and how good you are at what you're doing or how much you're contributing, that could become a full-time situation. Because today, even the younger generation, men in general, the guys, they want their wives to do something. All the younger guys who are getting married, I talk to them, because all my young, nephews and nieces, and all, they said, we don't want someone sitting at home and chewing our brains every half an hour. What are you doing? Is it, please, just be constructive, So I think the whole thought process of the younger generations also changing very rapidly. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And so coming back, so tell me, if you faced in your journey, in your entrepreneurial journey, some sort of setbacks, like I want you to, some sort of tips you'd like to give our listeners out there, because, entrepreneurship journey can be lonely. It can be very long.
It is tough because you're always on a financial strain, every entrepreneur. And no matter how successful, not successful, because it's a churning to make a company grow. I can very confidently say that nobody's doing silverware like I am. Nobody has the range that I do. Nobody has the designs. I'm the most copied brand by literally everybody. Everybody's copying my designs, which is not amusing, because it takes a lot of R&D for, to make a collection. But I'm at it 24/7. I work 6 days a week, still exhausting. No,
and now I'm going to come to our last part.
Yes.
So I still do have a couple of questions to go, but your journey as an influencer and actor, because you came in Bollywood Wives, and how was that journey, that experience? You've donned so many different hats, so a bit on that.
It's a reality show, so my bit, like I wasn't scripted at all. Like I mean, it's a non-scripted show. Like it's not that we were reading our lines, you know. So it was non-scripted, and it had its challenges as you went along because the situations get created, and then you're like, oh my god, why did I say that? And the next time you try and do damage control, I make it just worse because I have no filter, and I say it the way it
You're
is.
candid, you're straightforward.
I'm candid, I'm straightforward, and you know what you see is what you get. And it was a bit of a challenge sometimes, but overall, it's Netflix. You know, 192 countries in the world. I was in New York just now. I had these girls like in Soho running around me and saying, "Oh my God, we've seen your show. We love you." And then of course everyone's saying you were the best dressed. I said, "Yes, I was."
Yeah.
And then I had Dharma, as a production team. And this is a comfort zone for me because I've known, Karan for a while, and, our producer, Anisha Beg, who I've known for a very long time. So it was that I said, okay, under the umbrella of Dharma, I got to know Apurva, who's amazing. And you feel safe. The first thing you do, and it's something as big as this, and then at least you're going to be safe. You're under that umbrella of Dharma, if nothing else,
right,
Yeah. And Netflix, I mean, the reach was phenomenal. I'm going to give you a quick example. This lady who walks into my store and comes. Just yesterday, I went to the finale of JJ's show. Somebody comes up to me, "Hey, Miss Rezon." I'm like, "Oh my God, this is
That's
amazing.
nice.
This is what I want to be known as." I'm like, okay, I'm Miss Rezon now. This is amazing.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say, the audience today is, it's not just women watching. It's not just young people watching. My Instagram, I'm in my late 50s. My Instagram, do you know the view insights that take place?
Yeah.
You know what the age group is? 18 to 24.
Wow.
That's my maximum view.
Because that's the kind of audience also which is there, but they're able to connect with you.
I think the younger people connect with me because it's aspirational.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Also your different facets of your journey.
The facets of my journey. I think fashion is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Fashion, I think, becomes a big part of my persona. I think.
But you are, as we were discussing earlier, you are like a KOL. I wouldn't even call you like an influencer, but like a key opinion leader in different subjects.
A taste maker.
A taste maker. That's the word which we are all using now. But yeah, I would actually call you, and I mean, I really didn't know that much about your life as I have known in this particular interaction. But really, I mean, I know you've worked on the corporate side, on entrepreneurship, which was art, your leather bags, now silver, and different accessories, handicrafts. That's a lot in one lifetime. Maybe you should. Are you coming out with a book next?
Yes, I am.
Okay, on your journey.
It's fiction. But it's been 10 years. I went to Chiki Sarkar Penguin at that time, and she was so excited because we spoke about the first draft. And she said, yes.
Why not on your journey?
I don't have the time to write a book. I'm not doing Chat GPT or getting someone else to write my book. I have to write like a good Bengali. You have to sit and write. Yes. But I need to go away somewhere, quiet and just write. And I don't have the luxury of time. But maybe I'll be like Barbara Walters, and then at 80 years old, writing books, and many heads to fall, and nobody will care.
and I have two last questions and quick responses. But do tell me, how do you balance like your personal and professional? Like, how do you take out time for yourself?
I don't have any personal life, Stuti, as you know, so I only work. I do socialize a lot, but I only socialize during the weekend.
No, like your me time. Like how do you relax?
My me time, actually, my real fantasy is crawling into bed and watching Netflix. That's my fantasy, and I crave for that. So all day, that's all I'm thinking.
So me, I actually take out time to play pickleball. So I used to play tennis in school, and then I didn't do any sport for 20 years. And then in the pandemic, I started playing tennis, and now pickleball is the new rage.
So I started pickleball. I play squash.
So you'll pick it up naturally.
No. And I have completely damaged my back, and I've got terrible sciatica. So pickleball, you have to be
very careful because
so
it's not
I'm
a technical
squash player. So I go to the gym. I do go to the gym. So yes, I have that me time 3-4 times a week. I go. I leave my phone in the locker, and I play sports. I hate those machines. They're so annoying. But there's a trainer, so you do a little bit of machines. But I have. I mean, squash is my game. You play half an hour, you feel your lungs are going to burst, and that's the kind of workout.
Yeah, so I agree. So, it's pickleball or swimming for me. If the weather is bad, then you can't. But the point which I wanted you to sort of tell our viewers also, that it's important to have that me time, know. Like you'll have a child, like I have an 8-year-old who'll turn 9 soon. And then I'm running 2 companies, and then I do all these calls at different odd hours with US and Europe, you know. But that 1 to 2 hour time you have to take out for yourself in a day.
On Sundays, I vegetate. That screen comes down and I'm just watching Netflix or some movie or something.
I love Netflix too, by the way.
I'm just like sitting and watching or I read. I love reading, and somehow, again, to reading is so important. It just because it kind of disconnects you from everything, and you're in that world that you're reading about. So it could be a novel. I love fiction, so and I like quick, fast reading. So I read a lot, and I started picking up books from my own bookshelf, which are there. A lot of it belonged to my mother and my parents. I've got some books back from Calcutta, and I've started reading books, like rereading books, like all these South American writers, like Isabel Allende. Writers like that, they bring in a new meaning. I may have read them actually in my late 20s. I started.
And your perspective changes when you read it.
The whole perspective of the same book
will
completely changed.
I can relate to that. I do that all the time. I was an avid reader, but if I pick up a book which I picked up 10 years back or 20 years back and I reread it, my approach is different. Like, you look at the Ayn Rand, those Fountainhead and all, Atlas Shrugged. Now, if I read it in my 20s and now when I read it, I'll have a different approach. I feel like I've seen a lot more.
So it's a good one to reread again, huh?
I
have both those books.
And one last message, and which is like a winning message for our viewers out there. Like, what is it that can keep women inspired, not just in India, but globally?
Never give in and never give up. Just strive for something that you believe in and you think you can do. And don't give up easily. I think in the younger generation, there's a lack of patience, and this is the problem. You just kind of don't want to stick to something, and then you just need to, I think, be at it, give it your 100%, give it your all. Of course, if it doesn't work, and you realize it's not for you, go on and experiment and do something else, but don't give up easily.
On that note, I love it. Have a dream, don't give up on it. And thank you so much for joining us on Win Voices. And really, you've inspired me, Kalyani. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I thought I was doing a lot, but here's someone else who's doing so much more.
Thank you so much for having me. And I hope I've inspired some
of course, and you gave us some amazing tips.